We're live. Yo, yo. Mic check, mic check. What's good, everybody? Testing this test now. So, I'm showing you a video here. The sound might be annoying. Let's see. Oh yeah. So I'm getting some feedback. So I'm testing out to see how I'm looking on the other side. But check out this video and understand the symbol behind it a little bit better. And then we're gonna get started. Let me take this out. So yeah, we're gonna after this video comes out, we're gonna get started with the topics. I'm gonna get the topics out of the way because I'm using OBS and I see how it's like getting choppy. So I'm gonna get the topics out of the way so I could close that browser. There you go, it's done. So that's a little sound magic for you. Um, explain that and explain that symbol behind me. I'm trying to understand it myself. Anyways, yo, let's get into the topics. I'm gonna talk about this shooting that happened. Excuse me. I'm gonna talk about this shooting that happened in police shooting that happened in London a few weeks back. Let's see. Oh, wrong video. So the it's Chris Kaba. So I'm gonna get right into it. No clickbait picture. I don't even want to talk about people like that, but because it's a person. But I wanted to talk about it because it's a pretty interesting thing going on here. Um, this is a police shooting that happened, and the guy was unarmed. And what what you would hear is that he tried to ram the officer. Which, if you try to ram an officer, he has the right to shoot you. So, but when you look into it, it's what was the reason they were even there? Because then you start reading, they were in unmarked cars and such. And let me just read this real quick. So he was Chris on Monday, September 5th. Chris Kaba was driving an Audi motor vehicle in South London. He was driving what to be believed to be linked to a firearms incident. So to be believed, so they're suspecting the car. So I mean, the car could be anything. It could be a rental, it could be a stolen car. So you shouldn't go based off of the car just on that. And briefing was provided to the officers prior to their shift, which the audio was brought to their attention was being potentially associated with the firearms incident in the previous day. Mr. Kaba's name was not included in this briefing, so he wasn't a direct suspect. So here comes the interesting part. I'm going to skip down to what was really interesting to me. Um, let me file extraction. There you go. Extraction. It's another time that comes up. So officers continued to follow the Audi until 10 p.m. The officers did not activate their lights or sirens while following the vehicle. The intention was to use an enforced stop extraction. Now, what I mean, what is that? An enforced stop and extraction. That sounds to me like some like war wartime like talk. Like what do you mean? Like how do you so enforced meaning it's to be forced. Stop and extraction means by all means you're gonna get this for this car to stop and then you're gonna extract it. That should be used when you have like a like a substance like that. So to me that looks like it's kind of um, you know targeted. Like they knew what they were doing, but they were using. So, but with that being said, um, the the person at hand, if you look into his videos that he put on YouTube, this is officially nobody knows. The police didn't know who he is, but unofficially, we're all humans. We know they know who he was, and his videos showed that he was in the shits. So you do what you do with that information. But for me, what was interesting was the enforced stop and extraction, and that it applies to me. The topic today is ideology. So when you when you make that your law, you base it off of an ideology. When you believe it's right to enforce a stop extraction on anybody, when who has the authority to do that? So, anyways, that was that topic. Let's move on to the next one, which was, let me see here. Forgot what's the lineup again. Unemployment as a tactic. So let's watch this video real quick. I hope the sound comes on.
The problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employers
on
feel
this
the
end.
employer is extremely lucky to have them,
Basically, what this guy is
as
saying,
opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global,
unemployment,
the world is trying to do.
using
The governments around
unemployment
the
as a
world are trying
tactic
to increase
by, I
unemployment
guess,
to
keep
get
it short,
that
the oligarchs.
to some sort of normality.
Um,
And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there
uh,
is definitely massive
that
layoffs
people
going
should be
off. People
fearing
might not be
their
talking about it, but people are
employees
definitely
and not the
laying people
employees,
off, and we're starting to see less
their
arrogance in the
workers,
employment
and
market,
that
and
will
that has to
create for a
continue
more
because that will
healthy
cascade
work
across the class.
environment as far as the company. And what this guy is saying is, um, I guess, ideologically true in his ideology. In a world where um, the minority controls the majority, um, you have to keep the the you have to keep the workers satisfied. Excuse me. You have to keep the workers busy so that the oligarchs can enjoy. And we're in a a timeline where we're just in the middle of the power lying in the people, or the power lying in the, I guess, the authority. Um, Too bad I didn't get to hear that. Let's see what's going on here. Am I still buffering? Hold on. Let me take a quick technical break here. I'm still here. Hold on. Hold on. Time out. Time out. I got no background music. I got this though. Yeah. So this person, Tim Gurner, is. You should check out the video for yourself because obviously this OBS does not get along. Check out the video for yourself. He's saying that this whole COVID thing was a good thing because it raised unemployment, and so therefore people became more desperate to get work, and therefore that puts the employee at an advantage, um, which allows them to control the narrative. And this is what I think is ideologically right for them, and I guess morally wrong for. I mean, not necessarily wrong. It depends. You know what? I'm going to get off this subject. It's a tough one because it depends on where you are at the scale, if it's true or not. Because, for example, when it comes to your family, um, and this because a family is also it's a type of institution, and this ideology kind of works. For example, with your kids, You want to control the narrative of where they're working, how hard they're working, so you know they're earning it. But when it comes to a whole group of people, it's different, you know. So this is why I want to talk about these principles that you need to know, because sometimes they work on a small scale but not on a big scale. Because this guy is talking about the whole world needs to be unemployed. And no, you can't do that, bro. You can do that in some areas that needs some. I mean, even if you can do it. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. I think I might even skip these topics if this is gonna do all of this. Speaker. Oh, this is the Canada thing going on. Where we at here? Speaker must be met with resignation. The Speaker of the Parliament, Canadian Parliament, um, invited a war hero, depends on what perspective you're looking at, of Ukraine, that apparently was a Nazi, who fought against Russia. And it is funny because the reason this whole thing started is because that whole group of people, their descendants or whatever, um, started doing some shit again over there with people who were supporting Russia, but a lot of people forget this. Anyway, so I want to go. So this reset. Oh no, we're not doing the ad. Well, you're still getting the ad. There you go, YouTube. Get your money or whoever. My IQ in 5 minutes. Oh man, this is tough. This is like jiggling balls. Pause.
Alles wat je wil weten over biologisch eten, lees het nu in ons e-book.
The live shit is easier because you don't have to do a lot of editing. But sorry about the ad, y'all. Is this another ad? You know, funny thing about these ads is, they'll tell you a story.
What I think is the only conclusion you can draw from this,
These
that
ads
he
people
does
know
need to
more.
step down.
Okay, we reached out to the Speaker's office today to get an explanation of how the seats are allocated, for an invitation to an event like President Zelensky's address to Parliament, and how the coordination and vetting happens. And what they've essentially told us that a bunch of seats are set aside based on party standings, the PMO gets some and the Speaker gets some. And once that allocation of seats has been approved, each group submits lists of potential guests to the protocol office, which then coordinates in the sending of invitations. But they say the lists are not shared between groups. For example, the Speaker's guests are not shared with the political parties or the Prime Minister's office, and vice versa. And it's up to the Office of Corporate Security, which reports to the Sergeant at Arms, to do the vetting. Is that your understanding of how this went? This explanation would suggest you didn't know, as New Democrats, who was being invited. The Prime Minister's office didn't know who was being invited. Does that add up with your understanding of what happened and on past events on Parliament Hill?
I think so, and you can sense as well.
So, anyways, this reporter is oh man, my computer is going crazy right now. Forget about this shit. So yeah, every time I play a video, I get some. So yeah, my computer shit. Um, So the interviewer is basically breaking down how this is going down, how how this happened, in the sense that how they get a list and who didn't know and who did and whatnot. And the funny thing, if you were able to hear that video, it basically tells you how this happened. The funny thing about Justin Castro is that his dad allegedly wouldn't approve of this. Or maybe he was friends with the guy from Argentina. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about that scene, that whole fiasco. So let's go down to what I really came down here for, because I gotta go. Terrible streaming. So I was thinking about using EV Mux, EV Mux, or something to stream, or StreamYard. I don't know. If if anybody ever sees this and it's not a million years later, let me know if you have any suggestions. And hit that like button. You know what? Fuck that. Don't waste your thumb energy. I don't need no like button. So let's get into ideology. If this thing allows me to. There you go. So in the last two streams, the first stream, the first live, I talked about morals, which are the principles of right and wrong. Basically, that's putting it in a nutshell. And I also talked about what are the questions you can ask yourself to get in touch with your morals. There are three principles that I think are the three main principles that guide your whole consciousness on this earth or whatever we are in, which is your morals, your values, and your ideology. I also say idealism, but um, that word is also used for something else. Ideology is a better description. So today I want to talk about ideology. Before I get to that, I also talked about values in the second video, which is one's judgment of what is important in life. Talk about what are the different things that are valuable. It's either material or it's uh, an actual person or it's something intangible that becomes the time you spend with somebody, but and also the questions, as you can see on the screen. I hope that's legible enough. And I also said that it's also great to have differences in values. You can read here, because when you're at odds with somebody in values, so you um, don't like the same things, that means you can trade, especially if you have the thing that the other has. You can just trade. But if you do have something in common, you can share. And hopefully, not everybody has everything in common in values, because then we have a problem. So it's great to have differences in values. And morals, it's not so great to have differences in them, because if you determine somebody immoral, that's actually a threat to you. So it's very crucial to have um, differences, and it's to everybody's benefit. And most of the time, It pretty much works itself out when it comes to morality. Now we go to ideal. I call it idealism, but I want to change that to ideology to be more specific. Um, because ideology is, as it says in the word, is your ideas. Uh, Before I get into that, I want to talk about the philosophical idealism, um, which is the belief. This is not what I am talking about, but it's the belief that um, everything is reality is in its entirety a mental construct. So it's basically the simulation theory. It's saying that everything comes from your mind, and it's once you, it's something that I loosely subscribe to, but that's not what I'm talking about when I say idealism. So I'm gonna go to ideology, which just means what um, um, how I say is the belief in or the pursuit of perfection of something. So the belief in something. So um, to jump right into that, uh, let's go to the questions that will make you think about idealism. Is what cause are you willing to die for? So what is something that you think about that if in order for it to continue, you would die for it? What idea? So what it could be your family. The so any family member, that's an idea. Any because you think about who's your family. You just don't know. You have to identify it. It could be um, the right to vote. It could be the right to bear arms. What idea? So that's a way to kind of get an idea of what your ideology is. And another question is how much or how many lives does it cost to change your mind? So when you ask that question, how many um how many lives? That's a bit extreme. Uh, but let's go to how much money does it cost? So if you truly believe in something, um, for example, your family, you have a cousin that's doing some crazy shit and somebody offers you some money, how much money does that person have to offer you for you to uh, get rid of the idea of family or have an exception, you know? So that gives you a range of your idealism, and you need to ask these questions about many aspects of your life. And the only times that these things come up is when you're watching Netflix, because these situations come up. I've been talking about Chris Kaba earlier. I've been watching Top Boy, and you get a lot of these hood gangster situations coming up with the family doing this, but it's family, but yeah, you can't do, you cross or you broke the law, and these all of these things have to do with your principles. This whole Top Boy show is all like principles, and in one of the beginning scenes, the guy called Jamie, he talks about I think one of um, the actual series episodes. It's called Principles. Um, so that's an interesting series to check out. So, and it's back to my document here. So having differences in ideals have led to many conflicts in our human history. It usually happens when ideals get put above value and morals. So let me try to break that down a little. So you have your morals, which is what would you do to a person what would you do with your enemy in your custody? Or um, how do you feel people should be treated in punishment? And so that's your actual morals. That's the definition. People talk about moral of the world loosely. When you go to the actual definition, that's what it is. I want to break it more down more in other videos. Um, anyway, so when you put your ideals above these things, so I believe in the right to vote, and I have a neighbor that doesn't believe in a right to vote. So we have different ideals. Does that mean I'm going to do harm to this neighbor? No, because my morals are above my ideals. So there are people who put their ideals above their morals. So therefore, your morals is subjective to your ideals. Don't do that. Have your morals on top, and you could change between your values and your ideals, but your morals is top. That should be your compass, your north. If you have a compass, morals is north. See, and you can go east to west. So it is perhaps the most common reason why we would consider each other enemies. The best way to prevent conflict is by being civil to each other despite having idealistic differences. And I quote here, one man's, huh, I'm not trying to get a pause here. I'm going to change this. One man's, pause, meat is another man's poison. Shit, I got to change that. So, becoming Hotep is when you can restore your human integrity and connect with your higher self, which is essentially because today our society is plagued by isms and schisms. Since I'm talking about the beginning of our current calendar, isms and schisms. So, what is isms? These are words that are ending with ism. That's like racism, feminism, elitism. That's isms. And then you have schisms, which is a split or division between strongly opposed sections or parties caused by differences in opinion or belief. Basically, ideology, schisms, isms, and schisms. So these things are the things that cause people to have problems with each other because usually morality is it's pretty much settled. Like, I'm a human, you're a human, we don't want to hurt each other really. Like, it's pretty settled upon the time you're born. But then you get ideology, which is, I'm a human, but you had a problem. So you need to put that but down, pause again, and put your morals above. Anyway, show. A good way to start defining your principles is applying the golden rule. I can't see me. Is applying the golden rule as stated by the Egyptian story eloquent peasant by goddess of law, morality, and justice, Ma'at. I mean, of course, she didn't really write this, she didn't exist, but just like some other books, we wrote them because the message is right here. Do to the doer to make him do. the earliest known version of our modern golden rule. Do unto others as you would have do unto you. So this is basically your morality. This is should be your main ideal. If you're gonna have an ideal, have this as your main one, and then go on from there. Your values, do whatever the fuck you want. Like what you want. There's plenty for everybody, but make sure that your morals are above, especially your ideals. All right? I'm Hotep Dutch. Peace out.